Not only are these headsets extremely easy to maintain and swap the bearings out and all that fun stuff, but it makes putting a fork in a literal breeze. So the race has a split ring. You don't need a hammer and a installer, race installer and all that. You just put it on by hand and it pops right over the little lip. Put our bottom bearing in. Got our top setup, our top cap, our little retaining ring. The bearing's in there, but I'll put it in just to show you. Our top cap in. Nice little blue carbon fiber spacer to spice things up a little bit. And I'm actually going to pause here because I have some stuff to talk about with the cockpit, but our fork is definitely now installed. So we'll move on to installing the rest of the group set now. As we're moving along here, we're making great progress. We had originally, the previous owner put in a brand new bottom bracket I mentioned. This is a Shimano BBUN 300. This is the modern square tapers they have nowadays for sale. Very nice little unit, but the ones you find on Amazon are pretty much a carbon copy of that. If you look, very, very similar. And this is what we're going to be installing. This is the triple bottom bracket, and we're going to be, I figure since we have the carbon fork, the new headset, we're going to be taking it to a next level. A little bit nicer, why not, right? While we're in it, we're doing all this work, might as well make it the best we can. And this will be switching to one of my favorite budget crank sets of Welta, however you say this, Corsa. Very good for the money. They're like, I think I paid under $35 for this and the bottom bracket, under 40, somewhere around there. So they're a great deal. You can find all my parts in the description as well. I'll have links for all of this. So first things first, grease this up a little bit, throw this in the bottom bracket, then we're going to bolt this bad boy on, and we'll move on to the rest of the group set. It is coming together great. I really love the black group set parts we're putting on here to match the fork, kind of highlight the rest of the accented colors in the frame. And we're going to keep it rolling with the derailleur. I have an upgraded Sora. This is a slightly more modern, probably from like a 2005 Nishiki I pulled this off of, Century. Sora rear derailleur. This is the exact same model as the old one that came off of it. This one's black. This one being slightly newer. It does have larger jockey pulleys right here compared to the old traditional Shimano ones that the older Sora had. So this will benefit us because one of the things I did want to put on, as I was saying, we want to upgrade this, take it to a slightly better level since we did the fork. I'm going to put on a very cool, so we have a 5339 setup now, which is a full gear range for a road bike. We want to put on something really nice on the rear cassette, something that you could climb pretty much most cities with, but also have good top speed as we have with the 53 tooth here. So the big jockey pulleys will help us get this big large cassette on that we're going to stick on next. So let's go ahead and get this on. Now, because we changed our front setup, it's ideal to change to a double front derailleur, a awesome budget one. It's a Microshift R8, but I actually have, I haven't seen many of these in a while. I've been holding on to this in my parts bin, a double Sora front derailleur, so I'll be sticking that on there. This is actually almost identical in weight to the slightly newer 9-speed Shimano 105 front derailleur. It's like 10 grams difference. So this is pretty good, light little unit, and it'll serve us great. So stick that on now. And lastly, our final bits of the componentry here is our brake set, and these are, I said, like kind of texture or no names. I'm not really sure. It says I think it's 451 on the back. Yeah, it says 451 AG. So I would imagine that these are very close to whatever Tektro sells as the 451 model. These are, I weighed them, shockingly good. So obviously we're going to keep them. These also weigh almost, no, I think they're actually lighter than the 9-speed Shimano 105 brake set that I also have sitting in my parts bin. So obviously, for the money, these are much, much better brakes. Shimano 105 stuff is pretty expensive. You know, you have to pay for the name. And these are really good for what they are. So we're going to stick them on now. Now, because we do have a carbon fork here, we will have to install a longer, I'll show you the old one here, longer brake nut. This one's longer by probably about 5 millimeters, which is all we need to make them even longer, but we don't need anything super long. This will work great. Now all we have left is the cockpit area. This is our original setup, and you can see there's a little bit of like a black bar here, and weirdly enough, this is kind of just pressed on. It might be bonded underneath. I'm not really sure. You can't see really anything, obviously, because just a sleeve slid over the handlebars here. But it's a little dangerous. It's not, I don't really like seeing two-piece design handlebars like this. You see them on GMC Denali's and stuff like that. So I'm going to get rid of this. And it did have a nice Bontrager stem on it that's actually very light for what it is. So I'll save that for later. I'll probably just throw these bars away, though. We will be upgrading from the smaller 25.4 millimeter, the clamp here, that's the size of it, for the stem and the handlebars. We will be upgrading to a 31.8 larger diameter style handlebar that is lighter. It is a little more size appropriate, as is also the stem. So we'll have ones that are a little bit wider now, and we will also be, the stem before is 100 millimeter. This is a 90 millimeter, so put something on a little bit more appropriate for the bike. And we will be losing 100 grams in weight just by swapping the handlebar and the stem. So let's slap that on now. All right, we are getting everything together. It looks better and better as the further we get, if you ask me. And now it's time to see just how good is this truck. Will it pass the tire test, right? This is the ultimate question I get asked all the time. Will it fit 28Cs? And these are the ultimate 28Cs to fit. All right, let's see. Tons of space on the left and right sides over by the chain stays. Tons of space on the seat stays by the brake. And I would estimate, if we walk over here, we're looking underneath the brake bridge by the brakes. You'd probably have, and these tires are pumped to max 120 PSI. Is it max on that? 116. So yeah, I did pump them to 120 just to be sure that it does fit. I always like to make sure. And yeah, we got about, I would say about 5 millimeters of clearance underneath the brake bridge. So that is probably about the bare minimum. You really don't want to go any bigger on this one. It will fit these, no problem though. That is a fact, without a doubt. You could fit these, and that is a great thing to see. While I'm at it, I also have the front, even though this isn't the OEM fork, I will just check just for the heck of it, right? Why not? Well, with these brakes, it's close. It's very, very close. With them not being hooked up, they're open all the way, so you have to kind of close them a little bit, and they almost touch a rim before they actually give you good clearance, but that's okay. I think you could get away with it, without a doubt. You still got at least 3 millimeters towards the crown there. So, yeah, I think that would work without an issue. So, you could fit 28Cs on here, which is great news. The carbon fork and some really wide tires, I mean, that makes a huge difference in the ride quality. But, obviously, we're going to take these out. And I have, almost, the original wheel set, which is still very good, and we have wider than OEM tires on here. These are 700 by 25C gator skin, so I will be slapping those on there. But first, we got to get our cassette. You see there's no cassette on the hub here. So for our cassette, we will be using, this is a 1130 Shimano Altus, brand new bad boy right here. And the 30 tooth is awesome to have, if you ask me. I've lived in the Blue Ridge Mountains. I've lived in very mountainous areas where you climb a lot, and I love having a big ring for, you know, I guess they call it a granny gear, for when you need just a little bit more gas and, you know, you're out there training and wearing yourself out. It's a little bit easier to have a little bit of gear to fall back on and gain some more energy, and this would be the perfect setup for that, if you ask me. You have the 11 tooth, so we could still have the top speed of a 5339, and the 30 tooth of a very large climbing gear. And because we have this long cage rear derailleur on here still, it'll fit excellently and it'll shift super smooth. This is, actually I've run 1130 on 9-speed, the Shimano Ultegra 105s, they can fit 1130 with the triple still. So if you're a big triple person, that's cool to know. But if not, this is, if you ask me, one of the best budget setups you could have with the best gear ratio. And the kind of nice thing is too, it isn't very costly to get different chain rings for your crank up there. If you wanted to go 36 tooth or 38 tooth, something like that, that's what I have on my personal bike. That's what I have on my personal bike, my Cannondale. If you haven't seen that video, you should check that out. All right. There we go. Installed all. No problem. All right, now to put the chain on. Time to install our front wheel. Now it's time to start putting on the finishing bits. I got some really sweet flat commuter pedals here with some pins. Kind of mountain bike style, but non-slip regardless. Cartridge style bearings on the inside. Very lightweight. Like I said, nice platform. Cool pedals to add on for sure. And of course we're highlighting, the blue accents and celebrating the artwork of the frame, I would say, is a good way to say it. Oh boy, would you look at that. This thing is looking sharp, man. You just seen, we put the new pedals on. Completes the look awesome with the wheels and the blue accents and the little carbon spacer I put up there. And of course, finishes up with my Sunlight sealed brake cable housing, along with some Shimano shift cable housing, which is in gray to also accent it. We have some gray kind of all along the tubing here. And yeah, the bike is, it looks phenomenal. We are going to be very, very close to being done here. Still have to do the bar tape, put the cable ends on, which are also like a burnt orange, just like this, to match it even more. A little more swag to it. Why not, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at what it's going to
Attention all
look like.
personnel. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill.
All right, so our front tire test passes with flying colors on the stock fork. Very impressive. You'll see tons of room here at the crown. Probably you got to have 10 to 12 millimeters at least there, just from the top to bottom. Left to right, you have similar to 8 to 10, somewhere around there. Still tons of clearance there. So that's a thumbs up for the front and the rear to fit these massive 28C tires, which is not hard. It's very hard to do from this era of bikes. Early 2000s, it's not easy fitting these huge ones on there. Like I mentioned in past videos, you got to find ones like Bontrager Bracelites or Pana Racer Pacellas that are 28Cs are a little bit smaller. So, moving on. All right, look at that, man. We are done, and the bike looks fantastic. The more we've gotten done, the better it looks. And I really like to just try to envision what they were designing back then when they put this together and add my own little flair to it to pay tribute. And I couldn't have done it any better, honestly. I tried to pay tribute, like the whole color scheme, making it very bright and out there. Even with our cables, we got the blue and the silver. Our pedals to match the paint and the wheels. It just keeps going. It's great. I love it. And one thing I did want to mention, our front derailleur. We no longer have the Sora on the front. Not a good design. Stay away from them. The triples I know have issues with the spring breaking, but this has a rivet in the middle, and it was literally wobbling and pulling itself. So you seem like you need more adjustment, but it's actually moving, so bad. Stay away from those. We did upgrade a Shimano Claris. This is a really nice R2000, I believe. Yes, R2000 2-speed, super easy to adjust. Very nice setup, very good with the 1130 tooth too. Don't have any issues at all. Shifts beautifully, under $30, and it's a nice modern looking piece too. So nice to add that on for a little more flair, right? Got a brand new seat on here, our old Trek, quite heavy. I think this is made by Velo. Pretty much the cheapest company you can get out there. This is slightly better than that. This is retro spec, a little more modern shape to it, a little more width for, comfort. This is a little skinny and a little rough on the nose, and I'm sure the padding is shot by now, being over 20 years old. So lost a little weight upgrading and adding a little more flair with the white saddle. Wanted to match our bottle cage there, so pleased with it. As I mentioned before, the brakes have Swiss Stop brand new pads on them. Those are very nice. Very pleased with them. The bar tape, super high quality, almost a little sticky. Very nice and thick. Feels very, very good. Pleased with that for under 20 bucks. As I mentioned before, you can find all of this in the description. And I thank you guys for watching. I didn't want to forget to mention we lost a pound too. So the bike is down to 21 pounds. By upgrading to a mid-level wheel set and a carbon seat post, you would be well into the 20-pound range. That's a very competitive bike for an aluminum bike. Something with all Sora on it mainly still, can't complain. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day. Time to go watch a Phillies game. Go Phils! If you want to support the channel, please do. You could find us over at Patreon. You can also find us on YouTube memberships, where we have 2 different types, and you can support us there. I'd greatly appreciate it if you did. Thanks.